Harder to be on Sports Grid.
Welcome back into Bare Knuckle Fighting's main event here on Sports Grid. As much as you want to talk about the great event that we had down in Miami this past weekend, BKFC 49, and we will continue to talk about that more when we talk to some of the other fighters that were involved in the card, break it down with them, what they went through, what they're thinking, and what they're looking for in the future. You got to talk about the future and what we saw the night before, the Prospect Series, first ever Prospect Series for the BKFC, discovering some of the next generation of talent in the BKFC. Had a lot of fighters come through in tryouts that have made big impacts in the organization. Of course, you got to bring up the juggernaut whenever you talk about that. Reggie Barnett Jr., champions in the BKFC who came through that tryout system. Well, we're going to get some more of those as some of those tryout, people will get involved with this Prospect Series, keep rising up, and we'll see contracts awarded as we did on Thursday night. And one of those men who got a contract was Harry Dragonfly Cruz, the welterweight. Harry, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. We'll talk about the fight and everything that went on with it. And after it, just a few minutes. But first, I want to touch on your background. I mean, you're a guy who has a big career in boxing already, in glove boxing. You're 8-3 coming in here. You just won a title fighting down in Colombia. What made you want to come over to the BKFC and make the change, take the gloves off, and just go straight knuckles to heads?
Well, thank you first of all for letting me be on the show. Second of all, yeah, the boxing is great. I have a good career in boxing. It's just that once I got the title, it was hard to find fights. Nobody wanted to fight me. And if you can tell from the show, I'm pretty a hard opponent, and people see that. So they're avoiding me like the plague. So I was like, let me make a change. Let me go into bare knuckle, and because those guys are not scared, and just keep my tools sharp.
Never going to find anybody who's scared here. Everyone's going to match up, and you did a great job. You're not scared either. You talked about, the article they wrote about you before you started your fight on the BKFC app and on the website that, you felt like it was a homecoming for you to come to BKFC. Why is that?
Because I come from a background of martial art. So I had a big background in Wing Chun. I did that for a long time. That was all hand-to-hand combat. And that night I did feel like it. I felt like, okay, this is my element. This is something that I'm good at. And you can tell from the fight video and everything I did to the guy. I mean, I wasn't out of place. I wasn't struggling. It looked like I was meant to be there. That I have a lot more show to the world, what I'm capable of.
Well, what kind of training did you have to do? Did you make any changes to your training? Did you have to change anything in how you were doing to go from, the glove boxing to the bare knuckle? Was there a lot of fighters do things to toughen up their knuckles, whether it's punching sand or walls or, hammers or, was there anything you had to do with like that? Was there anything that you changed in your training, maybe less sparring or, more sparring without gloves to get used to? What kind of things were you working on as you tried to make the transition to the BKFC for this fight?
I did a lot of hand conditioning with guarding gloves, hitting the bag. Did a lot of mitt work with the guarding gloves, and then also a lot of sparring with MMA gloves, just to get to feel the range. Maybe have my hand open again, and just work on my trapping skills, and also work in the clinch. I did a Muay Thai school by me, so we worked a lot. If you notice from my fight, I utilized the clinch a lot, and I was very successful in the clinch.
We saw some of the training videos you're putting up online, and there's wild things people do to get in shape or to work different muscles. But some of the things I was seeing you doing out there, you're doing the push-ups into the flips. You're doing some flips out in the woods there. Like what kind of crazy? You got some gymnastics background too, besides the combat sports. And was this the push flips? Help work out the core. Was there any purpose specifically for fighting with this, or just having good old fun putting it out there?
No, there's always a purpose in what I do. It's calisthenics. I love calisthenics. I was doing the weight training. Controlling your own weight is more, for me, is more beneficial, especially in this kind of environment. But I do have a background in gymnastics. I was actually a Division I diver in college, so I have that background. But I always feel like moving my weight and controlling my own body is way more successful and more beneficial to me than just moving heavy weights.
definitely some interesting training that not something I could pull off by any means. Probably not a lot of even fighters in the BKFC could do. And that's one of the more interesting paths I've heard. Usually when you hear fighters in any combat sport, it's a lot of them that came from wrestling or maybe football, more the contacts. Be a college diver to now a champion boxer at a BKFC hopeful. That's definitely a different path than most people have taken.
Of course. I mean, I need something to pay for school, so I'm not the most when it comes to scholarly person, but I am one of the most athletic people, so I use that for my benefit. So I did that in high school, and that helped me into high college, into college, and that paid for my college.
Good on you for doing that. Any way you can get through, of course, is huge for anybody, especially these days with the cost of college, that's for sure. But, now you had this great fight on the Prospect Series. Unfortunately, did not go your way. Fighters always say you never want to leave it to the judges. Well, the one other person who's very dangerous in the BKFC especially, you have them, of course, outside in all the combat sports, but even more dangerous in BKFC because of the bare knuckles and how it can cut people up quickly, is the ringside physician. And, they stepped in and unfortunately stopped your fight before you could get the victory. But, it was a great fight. And I think you obviously showed how much heart you have getting the contract offer after. So, walk us through the fight. Walk us what, you saw and how you felt as you were going through your first bare knuckle fight on the Prospect Series and, how you feel coming out of it afterwards.
A lot of people think that in order to conceal carry, you're going to need a tactical belt and a set of jeans. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't. In fact, you can carry in a bathing suit.
Well, again, like I said, I felt I was going home. I went in there, tested the guy out. When he landed his first punch, I felt like he had no power. So instead of boxing, like I can walk through this guy and just, walk him down and just take him out. And I give it to Torres for having a heart because he should have been out way before that. I call it, I was in his hometown, so I knew that would be a little bit difficult. But I felt like the fight went well. I stick to I let them. I dodged a lot of his hits. I worked the clinch very well, very successful in the clinch. I worked where I needed to do in there. Actually, the funny thing about the cut, I'm the only fight out of the 2 fight cards that got stopped by a cut. No other fight card, no other fight in that fight card or the next day got stopped by a cut. Mine was the only one. If it wasn't for that cut, I would definitely would have won that fight because I didn't see him, win the rounds in any way by scores or for just power. He was getting tired. I felt it, and before I was able to unleash, they stopped me. So that's a lesson learned that okay, I have to watch out. And and it was a lot of head. He used a lot of his head and headbutt me, so I had to watch out for that and mostly work my boxing skills, except for my rough and tough skills.
Absolutely. And, that first fight always a big lesson for a lot of people coming into the BKFC for the first time. You can do all you want, whether you're talking to other people who have done it or, just watching and trying to figure out on your own what it's like. It's never going to be the same until you actually get in there and experience it yourself. So, obviously a great performance by you that you still got the offer. Both of you get the contract amongst another number of people who had the great performance on that Prospect Series, the first ever for the BKFC. So, what are you looking for afterwards? How are you feeling? The hands, did the conditioning work? Are you feeling a little sore there? Obviously, we see you got the cut over the eye that needs some time healing. What are you looking for now with the BKFC, and what have they talked to you about? Are they trying to get you back in another Prospect Series card? Are they trying to get you to one of the main cards? What's the lookout here for you going forward?
So first of all, I enjoyed my experience there. It was a good experience. I mean, it was a heck of a fight. We got fight of the night. How you call it? Everybody watched the fight. That was a great way to open. The David Fieldman, loved the whole fight. He talked to me. So I got a contract for the main card. I'm not being the Prospect Series. They said, I'm above that. I'd be good for the, I'm for my experience in boxing and everything. I'm ready for the main BKFC card. So we're gonna be working on that here real soon. Getting in at the next fight on the main cards.
Harry Dragonfly Cruz, thanks so much for joining us. Great performance by you. Congratulations on the contract. We look forward to seeing you fight again for the BKFC.
Thank you very much.
When we come back here on Bare Knuckle Fighting's main event, we're going to talk to some of the guys who were involved in the main card on Friday and were victors here on Sports Grid.